makes my job the easiest ever, because I get to sit back and listen to everybody talk and get to spend time with some of my favorite authors, which is fabulous. We've got Emily Murdoch, Alyxandra Harvey, Tanya Wilde, Alexa Aston, and Jennifer Seasons with us today. I always want to make you sessions instead of seasons. So, ladies, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Happy to be here.
So since we have such a full house this week, we're gonna dive right in and start with the books. And the first book that released this week is Emily Murdoch's book, and it's A Second Chance, and it's book 2. Like, you couldn't guess that.
It's book 2. I mean, the title wrote itself very much. A Second Chance. I had a lot of fun with this book. So if you haven't read book 1, shame on you. No, it's fine. It's in Kindle Unlimited. It's a first in series, so it's 99¢, so it's super, super cheap to pick up. And you don't need to have read it to understand what's going on, but you might want to, because we've got a series of brothers going on, so you might want to read some of the extended cast. In A Second Chance, I thought, what if I brought 2 second chance tropes together and combined them in one? So we have John Chance, he's the Marquis of Aylesbury, and he is very much a kind of fun-loving himbo. Like, the thing, he's not mean, he's not cruel, he just runs through life doing exactly what he wants and not expecting there to be any consequences whatsoever. And unfortunately, the consequences have turned up. He is bankrupt, and his brother is no longer going to bail him out. Poor old William, the Duke of Cothram, he's sick and tired of bailing out John. So John has been given a second chance. He's not going to have the scandal revealed to society, but he has to put things right. And so John decides to do exactly what any sane, normal Marquis would do. He decides to marry for money. That's how he's going to get a second chance. Unfortunately, he turns up at a house party looking for a bride and runs into Florence Bailey, who is the wallflower that he flirted with a couple of years ago. And just when things were starting to get a little bit more serious, he caught feelings, panicked, and disappeared. So Florence is not super happy about this. She's very much a true wallflower. She really shines on one-on-one company. She doesn't do well in crowds, and she's at this house party very much not wanting to be there. And all of a sudden, John walks through the door, and she hears a rumor that he is desperately looking to marry a dowry. And all of a sudden, Florence comes up with this plan that she can make John think it's his idea that they have a marriage of convenience. And of course, hijinks ensue, because John is an idiot and very lovable, but not the smartest character I have ever written. And Florence is incredibly intelligent, but really hampered by her shyness, really hampered by her inability to shine in a group setting. And so I have a huge amount of fun. There's a big extended cast, many of whom you'll meet through the series. And it's lots of second chance, lots of black sheep, lots of found family, lots of joy. Does that make sense?
It does. Are we going to get a grovel? Do we get a grovel?
Oh, we get a grovel. We don't get a groveling scene. We get a groveling chapter. Because John, one of the things I love about my heroes is that they're not expected to be perfect. I think having perfect heroes is not. I mean, it's dull. It's dull, right? No one wants to read about a perfect hero or heroine who does nothing wrong. And I think a lot of my readers like that my heroes grow, not to be perfect, but to be the perfect partner for their heroine. Mm-hmm. They recognize in themselves that actually the person that they love needs something different, or needs something more, or needs some sort of reassurance or respect in a way that maybe they haven't been giving before. And John has a lot of learning to do in this book.
Oh, that's fantastic, though. I love a good grovel. And then, and you're right. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be self-aware.
Yeah, we love growth. We love to see it. We love to see it. We love to be it. And when writing, it's a real challenge, because I don't want John to be unlikable. We all know someone like John who is really happy-go-lucky. There's not a bad bone in their body, but they just don't think through the decisions they make. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make him a bad person. It makes him a pretty shocking partner to start with, because that's not a way to build a life with someone. But John is smart enough to realize that Florence might just be the best thing he's ever accidentally done, and losing her would be the biggest mistake he could ever make. So
Okay. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And we have a bunch more chances to go too. So
we
get
do.
So we get all the other chances.
So we've got book 3, which is an outside chance, which is our gambling brother. He is already up on pre-order, so you can grab him for 99 cents. That's George. George is bad sometimes. Like, full disclosure, there's 4 brothers. 3 legitimate brothers and an illegitimate half brother who they have their own complicated relationship, and that's book 4. But yeah, William is very kind of staid and prudish and has to be kind of pulled out of his shell a little bit. John is very well-meaning and very well-intentioned, but not the smartest button in the box. George is not well-meaning all the time. He's very much out for what he can get. He needs to be tamed a little bit. And Frederick is kind of this half brother who doesn't quite know where he fits into the family. So that's the 4 books we'll start with in the series.
Oh, fun. Oh, I love Family Saga. It's one of my favorites, where you get to get attached to, whether it's found family or actual family, and you get to get attached to all the characters as you go through this.
Yeah, I love writing it. It's a real joy.
Best series. Oh, so cool. The next book that came out this week is Alexandra's book, and it is The Scandalous Spinster, and it's book 1, brand new series in the Spinster Society. Can you tell us about this one?
It's called The Scandalous Spinster. It changed titles a bunch of times, but eventually it became about Clara, who has earned a nickname Miss Vinegar, because she has put on sort of a persona that is not soft. She's absolutely a spinster, and she's not the easiest person to get along with, but she's done that for a purpose, because she has a secret that she's hiding behind this persona of a very proper, acerbic Miss Vinegar, and that is that she writes novels, and she writes scandalous novels, very, very wicked, naughty, scandalous novels. So that was fun for me. And that is her secret, so that's what she covers herself up with. Unfortunately, somebody has figured out that secret and is blackmailing her. What they don't know is she's also part of the Spinster Society, and this is the new series that I'm writing. So the spinsters are generally in Regency Society overlooked, right? They're wallflowers, nobody thinks much about them. So they are perfect to infiltrate all of the little parts of society where all of these fortune hunters and these wealthy men who get no consequences for how they treat women kind of hang out. So she is sent on a mission to help one of her own, because one of the spinsters who was on this sort of mission for a marquis whose women keep disappearing in his house. And no one's doing much about it. So they send somebody in, and then that person disappears. So Clara is the person who is next to go in to find the missing spinster and to figure out what's happening in this house. And Captain Bram Thorne, our very handsome tattooed Regency captain, likes to keep his eye on Clara. So he's going with her just to make sure that she's safe. So there's a bit of a tiny bit of an age gap romance. There's a bit of a bodyguard romance feel to it. Oh, and cool. Of course, only one bed, because it's a must.
Emily's favorite trope is only one bed. So
it's just 100%. 100%. Gotta do it.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun, and like more mystery than we normally get too, which is kind of exciting.
Yes, there's actually a lot of mystery, and there's a bit of a sort of a Bluebeard feel to it. Mm-hmm. I wrote this book while we were moving from our house we've been in for 20 years, so my brain was like just chaotic, and I love fairy tales, so adding a little bit of a fairy tale plot just helps to sort of like make me less crazy. So it was good. It was fun.
And so the rest of the series follows the rest of the spinsters in the Spinster Society?
Yes, there's 3 more spinsters with 3 more mysteries to solve and revenge to be had.
Nice. I love a good revenge, a good grovel, and then a good revenger.
A little bit of vengeance.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like just a blast, and I like the Bluebeard, and I like the idea that the women are disappearing is enough to keep you very interested in what happens next. So very cool.
More vengeance. Feeling my rage in this series, I guess.
Hey, you got to have somewhere to put it, and it's good to have a healthy outlet. Right? Nothing wrong with turning that person that needs to learn a lesson into a character in a book where you can teach them the lesson. That seems like perfectly
very
healthy.
Handsome sea captain to kick some butt as we do it.
Yeah, man. That just seems reasonable to me. So Awesome. Well, the next book that came out this week is Tanya's book, and it's a little bit of Hellion, and it is book 4 in the Ladies Who Dare. Can you tell us about this one?
Yes, this is Seville and Theo's story, and it's enemies to lovers on the road. This is
fun.
we're going on the road with this. And it starts with Theo just being kind of done with the season. So much has happened. There was the betting book, the list of heiresses she's on, that the group of men, Seville being one of them, mentioned or wrote down their worst qualities and their best qualities. And their best qualities was their dowry, of course. And and then getting that list in the betting book and having fortune hunters and all sorts of characters crawl out of the woodworks. She's done, of course, also with Seville, who's part of this, and her mother, who's now taken to matching her, doing blind matchups, the modern day speed dating. And she decides to retire to Brighton, where her aunt lives. And Seville, of course, then gives chase because he is low-key infatuated and high in denial of how he's feeling for her. So, and he's feeling all the feels. He's feeling regret, he's feeling guilt and confusion and everything. And when he gets flustered, he gets loud. This is not an opposites attract. This is like they're very much the same. They're equally stubborn, yeah, and equally loud, equally bickering and quarrelsome. So it was very fun to write their banter. And he catches up to her, and of course they get into it and discover something horrible. Her servants, her maid, and the driver betrays them to a highwayman.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they are set upon highwaymen right from the start. They are left at the side of the road, carriageless, penniless, and waistcoatless. And then all the fun begins. But what would they then do? They decide to rob the robbers because there are some items they need to get back. That's in the carriage, and his horse, of course, because that's all men care about. So yeah, that sets them off on a path of adventure. And
it sounds like a big adventure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big adventure. And that's
it in a nutshell. That's the start. That's it in a nutshell.
This is book 4. How many Ladies Who Dare do we get?
7.
7.
So the series is already written. It's always having to go back and going, oh, what book are we doing now? What book's releasing now? And then combing through the archives in our mind, like, oh, right, their story. So yes, there's still 4 books to go.
Oh yeah. So there's 3 books.
Don't ask me to do math. This is book 4. So
3 books. This many books to go.
This many, yes.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like so much fun, and I love a good adventure. So it's like waistcoatless alongside the road with nothing else. Sounds like big fun. Awesome. Well, the next book that came out this week is Jennifer Season's book, and it's Bow Street Baron, and it's one of the Castleberry books. Can you tell us about this one?
It's actually the last one in the series. So this is book 5, in which we finally get to like the black sheep of the family, and we finally get to those stinking revivalists and those, the group of mad noblemen who've been running around throughout the series. And so it all kind of comes to a conclusion in this series. And I too have only one bed in this one. So yay! Which was a lot of fun. So this story revolves around Catamount Castleberry, who is the captain of the Bow Street Runners. And he has been after the revivalists since he lost the woman that he loves. About 3 years before the story picks up in an attack by them. And so our heroine is she does not remember who she is. She knows that she survived an attack by the revival.
And an amnesia.
There is. By the way, this is an amnesia story as well. And so, yeah, so she survived, but she has no idea who she is. And she's rebuilt this incredible life for herself as a French seamstress. And so we may or may not have already seen her throughout the stories or throughout the series. And in this series, in this book, she has this experience one night and she realizes she's being followed. And she doesn't really understand why she's being followed. And she doesn't understand why she feels like she needs to go to the Bow Street Runners, but she does. And that's where she meets up with Catamount, who is very much intrigued by this person and wants to get to the bottom of why she can't remember anything. And so there's a series and events, and the revivalists come in, and ultimately we end up sharing one bed. Yay! In which it's kind of a bodyguard thing too, because he does move in at some point to take care of her when things get very intense out there. And so it's kind of a mashup of Amnesia, Bodyguard, Second Chance, and then the end of the series. And then I wanted to create something incredibly atmospheric and really immersive, because we're culminating in the story with this murderers who have been going around, and so there's this kind of almost cozy, not fantasy, but bringing in that feeling of really being immersed and in that story and in that place and feeling the fog and the mist and the London and the cobblestones and smelling it. And because like her life is now in the story, and so everything is so present for her. And so when she's really especially describing her life, or when she's in it, she's noticing everything, because she also doesn't understand why she's always afraid.
The way you talked about that makes so much sense. That idea that if you lost your past, then what you have is what you have right now. Like that. Mm-hmm. That makes
right. And paying attention to it, and the gratification, or feeling gratitude for the simple moments that you have now in your life. And so that's what she's really built herself on. And she takes that with her in this story, is that, she has no past and she has no guarantee of tomorrow, but she has right now. And so she's one of the most present characters I've ever created, and one of probably the most gracious with so much gratitude. And then as the story progresses, she does eventually realize what happened, and everything comes to a head. And then there's that moment of what we talked about, personal growth. Because why did she have amnesia anyway? What happened? What are those other things that are hiding beneath the surface that she has to deal with? And so there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of humility in this character. And then there's so much intrigue and danger, and only one bed.
Awesome. And then like the layers of the characters' layers are the things that keep you coming back over and over and over again. They're the thing that make you pick up the book. When you have to set it down, that's the thing that brings you back, is wanting to know this person and what's going on with this person and how they fall in love. So good. So that's the end of the Castleberries then. Is this?
It is the end of my Castleberry series, and it's bittersweet, and but at the same time, I'm also ready to build new worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a weird feeling. It's hard to explain what it's like to be so kind of, and I know a lot of you have had very long running series end, what it's like to get to the end of a series and have to say goodbye to those characters, but still be so excited for what comes next.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just hope that everybody, sees and feels that the stories and the series comes to completion in a satisfying way for as many readers as possible.
Yay.
So.
And speaking of long-running series, the next book that released this week is Alexa's book, and it's the Marques's Quest. Thank you. You knew what I was going for. I struggle with it every time. The Marques's Quest for Love, and you double Q, so it's like that's a lot. And this is one of the Strongs of Shattercrest books.
It is. It's number 6 out of 7, and this book is very special to me because it is number 100 of the romances that I have published.
Oh, yay!
I'm counting all the novellas in there too, but it's number 100. So I know this is being played on Friday, and that's the day my book releases. And I'm going to be running a big little contest. So be watching for that to celebrate the 100th published romance.
Are you getting ice cream? You have to get ice cream.
Oh, hey, I just have to walk out to the freezer, okay? I've got my voice of half a dozen tubs.
Ice cream.
But back to the book. Byron and Morella were a delight to write. Part of it takes place up in the Lake District. And so I was able to bring in the Lake poets and just all, what they wrote. Morella, being a strong, knows that she has to marry for love. She's got 5 books ahead of her that's already told her this is what my family does, even down to her own mother, who was a very young widow and has remarried and is madly in love with her sea captain. So she's getting ready to prepare to go into the season, visiting some relatives in the Lake District when she meets Byron, who also is visiting. He has had drilled into him, family is everything. Duty to family. And he was the second son, so tack on the duty to country as well. His beloved brother dies because I've got to give him a title. So he comes back from the war. And before the season begins, he does meet Morella, and it's instant attraction. I mean, of minds, of body, of soul. They just know they're meant to be together. But his brother was betrothed to their neighbor's daughter.
Oh, no.
Was the dad's best friend. So he has always been very respectful of his dad, who drilled in obedience and honor and all of this to him. And he kind of feels like he needs to go in because it was always meant for their families to be joined together. And he needs to ask this neighbor to be his wife, even though his heart now belongs to Morella. So he explains this to her, and naturally she's brokenhearted, but she's going to go into the season and roll up her proverbial sleeves and make the best of it with Byron and the other girl there. And so the whole story will be boiling down to, will Byron choose duty or love? So.
Oh, man. It's not good to be a first son in any of Alexa's books. If you ever have a chance, you do not want to be the firstborn. It doesn't work well for them.
Yeah.
Ever.
I've written a few first sons. In the Strongs, book 1, there was only one son, and he was the Duke. But I put him through the ringer before he ever made it home. But yeah, I had a whole series called Second Sons of London, and all their brothers, or whoever got killed off. So yeah, but it's so fun to be dastardly and do something like that.
That's a lot of heady stuff to play with, though, because you really have just the emotional. Like, I mean, the hero and heroine don't have to decide whether they're right for each other. You just have the emotional duty, and commitment to family, and all the things that's the thing that's keeping them apart. And those are some big emotions to play with. And then
right. Well, and also he's coming home from war, so I think with any of these war veterans, he's going to be mild to moderate to super PTSD, and he's stepping into a role he never expected. I mean, he loved his brother, he worshiped his older brother, but it was his brother's thing, when he went off to do, his duty. And so now he's being placed in a role he never expected. He's missing that brother. He's missing the brothers in arms from war. He doesn't have his dad to lead him anymore. And he's found what he thinks is his soulmate. And yet he can't have her. So anyway, so yeah, 6 of 7. So we have one more, and actually that Duke's Guide to Winning a Lady did go on pre-order yesterday. So
great.
Do the 99-cent thing out there, Dragonblade readers. That's the best buy in the world when our books are on pre-order.
See, I don't even have to say it now. The pre-order and release day is the best day to get a Dragonblade book, because you can get them for less than a bad cup of coffee. Not even a good cup of coffee, bad cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we don't have very much time left, but I thought maybe we could talk for just a couple minutes to see if anybody did anything fabulous this summer, because I did not do anything fabulous this summer, and I would like to live vicariously through you. So
I'll start. I just got back from somewhere fabulous. My best friend lives in Montana. And so since I live in Texas and August equals triple digits, I always plan a trip to Montana in August. And Montana alone is gorgeous enough as it is. And we went to Glacier National Park and just did all kinds of wonderful things in Montana. But we escaped up to Canada for 3 days. Glacier National Park is adjacent to Waterton Lakes National Park, and this is called an International Peace Park. And so we went and stayed in Waterton for 3 days. Now, we didn't stay at the fabulous Prince of Wales Hotel because it's $1,200 a night, but we stayed where we could see it and almost throw a rock and hit it, and did go visit there and, you know, look at the architecture and see the gorgeous views there. But we actually took a trail ride at sunset.
Fun.
Go back to my Facebook page if you haven't seen any of my pictures. I am so proud of myself that I could hold the reins and keep the horse going where he was supposed to be going as I'm leaning and just kind of clicking with my camera. And I got some really nice shots of sunset.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we went out one night and did a night sky tour where they took us into the literally middle of nowhere from 11 to 1:30. And we did some stargazing while the coyotes were around us, laughing. It was a little unnerving, but, you know, supposedly they're as afraid of us as we are of them. At least that's what our guide was telling us. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was good to have a getaway and go somewhere cooler, you know, this time of year, and take a slight break from riding. So now that I'm back in Texas, nose is back to the grindstone.
Yeah, star watching in dark skies would be just, you know, that would be amazing.
It was cool. Yeah.
Amazing. Very cool. All right. So who can top that?
No.
The only thing I did was watch the stars. We got the Northern Lights here twice.
Did you see the Northern Lights?
Yeah, twice. Up till 4 a.m. Totally worth it. It was phenomenal. Like to the naked eye. And then with the camera, it was really like purples and pinks. And we just moved, and I'm on 2 book deadlines. So I hear there's an outside. I haven't seen much of it, but the Northern Lights for my deck were fantastic.
Oh, well, the Northern Lights count. That's
yeah. And I'm turning 50 later this year, so we're gonna go to a wolf sanctuary. So no coyotes, but I will see wolves.
Hang on. What is your skincare routine?
By the window and too much light so you can't see me.
Okay, because
I was totally gonna do down from 52.
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
Oh, thank you.
But you're gonna love 50s. The 50s are great. Like
they're liberating. Yes.
I'm gonna see some wolves. It'll be great.
That's so good. It's so good. Awesome. So what about anybody else?
Well, I was saying earlier, here in the UK, as you can tell from the delightful accent, there are 6 weeks where anyone without children, which is me, doesn't go out and do anything because all the prices go up because it's the summer holidays. So I've done nothing this summer, but what I have done is I spent the bank holiday weekend, the long weekend, with my niece who's coming up to 3. And oh my goodness.
Were you so worn out?
So what? I had to have naps while I was there. I had to tell parents, like, I know that you do this 24/7, but this is exhausting. I'm going to go upstairs and lie down. Like, I can't. This is a lot. And my sister-in-law just looked at me like, yes, it is. So I had 3-4 amazing days with them up in the north in Yorkshire. But yeah, that was enough excitement for me for the summer.
I can imagine. And that's one of those frog cooked in water things, because when you have little people, you kind of get used to having little people because they just, you know, like they're there all the time. And then when you have to jump in when you haven't been around little people for a long time.
She's just fabulous. She's my favorite flavor of toddler, which is mad energy, high intellect. So like she knows how to use things and she knows the tricks of the trade and she knows that she's cute. She's just worked out manipulation. She's just worked out. If she goes, please, you will do anything she wants. Literally, I said to her, because she's being raised bilingual, so every now and again she will speak to me in Greek, and I'm like, honey, I don't speak Greek, but if you tell me in English, I will do anything you want. Anything. All right. Can't say no to that kid.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what about you, Tanya or Jennifer?
I'm mostly, I have tons of kids, so it's been kid stuff all summer, especially horse shows. And because my daughters jump. And so there has been the Ring of Vermont and New York and Massachusetts horse shows and everything. So that has basically been my weekends.
So are you carting horses back and forth to where they're riding? Like, are you trailering horses? Or?
Well, their farm is, yeah. I mean, the farm where the horses stay, yes. I'm not doing it myself personally, which thank goodness. But yeah, there's a lot of equipment and tack and stuff that we pile in the back of the minivan and take with us, and so we've got the system down at this point. And so it's a lot of fun, I mean, it's outside, it's sunshine, it's New England in the summer, and so it's always beautiful. And then watching the girls jump and everything is always just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Are they all back in school now?
Yeah, basically today. They had 2 little days last week, and then today's like the first full day, really. So yes, finally.
And then your schedule has to change too. So.
It's like I look around at the house now that has not been clean all summer, and I realize, okay, now I can finally get to it. They're not in the way.
It doesn't make sense to do it when it's just going to undo itself like 15 minutes later. So
yeah, I get maybe 10 minutes max of a clean house, and then it's done. Yeah, and then we adopted a new puppy about a month ago, and so that has also been.
Okay, that's on you. Like, puppies are adorable, but that is on you.
And actually, we're so lucky. He's awesome. He's really, really, really amazing. But he came from Los Angeles, and we're here in Massachusetts. And he's a little rescue guy. He was found out in the desert.
For the non-Americans, I have no Is that like 20 minutes away or 20 hours
away? Miles away.
Okay. I can't be the only non-American watching this being like, I don't know what that means. Is that around the corner? Like, is that a 20-minute bus drive? I don't know.
Yeah, he took himself clear across the country to get him, but he's amazing, and he's now got his little forever home, and he's putting on weight, and he's getting healthy again, and so we love him to pieces.
How big is he? What kind of dog is he?
Well, he's a German Shepherd, and so he was found incredibly malnourished out in the desert. So he was only about 25 pounds or so.
Oh my goodness!
He was really underweight.
Oh my goodness!
He's basically doubled in size since we've had him.
We all love him now. What's his name?
Yeah. His name is Gex, and I've got a little picture up on my Facebook page of him, but he doesn't even look like that anymore. Like, he has literally grown so much, and he's like all ears, and we thought he would catch up to his ears, but his ears keep growing. So he's still all ears. But yeah, so between horse shows and new puppy, it has been kind of a home summer, just, like local day trips and over the weekend trips, but
that's enough.
Yeah.
That's
enough. It's been busy.
And Tanya's the whole way on the other side of the globe. So she's actually finishing winter now, right?
Yeah. First of September was first day of spring. So this winter, my pastime was watching or catching up on all the new crime documentaries on Netflix. Which probably the lighting is on theme, really, if you think about it. So, yeah, that's all I've been doing. Also, no kids, just the puppy. So, 11-year-old puppy.
Oh.
So, just us.
kind?
Yeah. A little Italian greyhound.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, super sweet.
Those are the kinds you could tuck in your sweatshirt if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, not this one. This one will not allow it, but very sweet still.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What about you, Evelyn?
I didn't do anything good. I didn't. I went to see my sister this past weekend.
That was good.
And they had a party Friday Friday night with the band. So I danced like a lot. Like,
There
like
you go.
I danced like a middle-aged white woman who was raised to 80s music, and there was singing, and it was lots of bouncing up and down, and it was fantastic. That
That sounds amazing.
half of the summer. And I didn't hurt myself, you know, so like this is win all around, because you can't be sure once you get past a certain point that you can thrash dance and bad things won't happen.
That's funny.
No. But that was it for me. That's about the most exciting thing I did all summer. But we've gone over, ladies. I knew we were going to do it. I knew it was going to require very little effort on my part this time. It's like I love that you all took the time to talk to us and to share your summer plans and winter plans with us, and also to share your books. It's always a treat to get to hear, you know, a little bit of the story behind the story. is very, very cool. So even though Alexa said it, I'm going to say it because it feels like I have to. Dragonblade books are the best deal on pre-order and release. You want to get them then, because I mean, again, bad cup of coffee. There's no barrier to entry. There's absolutely no barrier to entry. You want to grab them on pre-order and release. If you can't, you can read in Kindle Unlimited, which means you can read all of these deliciously long series, just one right after the other, without having to think about it. Just read, people. That's what we need. More readers. All right, ladies. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us.